the oil interests of the elite families of the world. The North American Union. You won't hear any of the major party candidates speaking about the North American Union. This is the biggest threat to America since we fought our war for independence. This is more serious than the energy crisis. This is more serious than the dollar falling. This is more serious than the war in Iraq, because all those things are contrived to take our attention away from the North American Union, which is coming upon us. We're about to lose our independence, just like the nations of Europe are now a rubber stamp for the EU Parliament. We're about to lose our independence. NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, 22,000 pages of regulations do not spell free trade. NAFTA was intended from the beginning to be the framework of a regional government to be built into the North American Union. Frank LoBiondo, it was my urging, my putting him on the spot at a Chamber of Commerce breakfast some months ago that caused him to sign on to H.R. 22 to get us out of NAFTA. My efforts, not his efforts. My efforts putting him on the spot. H.R. 40 to oppose the North American Union. He hasn't signed on to it. Your conservative Frank LoBiondo hasn't signed on to it. 15 years ago, he sat in my kitchen as an assemblyman in New Jersey. There was a bill pending in the State House. It was ACR 37, calling for a constitutional convention under the pretense of a balanced budget amendment. He sat in my kitchen for a half hour as I went over quotations from constitutional scholars stating how an Article 5 convention cannot be limited to a single issue. It represents a wholesale scrapping of the United States Constitution. He sat there nodding his head, he understood. And then he voted for it. And I called him and said, Frank, you knew what this thing was. It was to scrap the United States Constitution. Why did you vote for it? And his response was, what would people have thought if they read in the paper that had voted against the balanced budget amendment? Knowing that it wasn't about a balanced budget amendment, it was about scrapping the United States Constitution. He's about getting reelected. And if what it takes to convince you people that he's conservative, if that's what it takes to get reelected, that's what he'll do. He's pro-life. Why hasn't he signed on to Ron Paul's Sanctity of Life Act? He says life begins at conception. Why hasn't he signed on to that act which defines life as beginning from conception? The Constitution gives the authority of Congress to limit the jurisdiction of the federal courts. For 6 years, both Republicans both controlled both the House and the Congress. 1 million babies were being aborted in 2001, 1 million babies still being aborted in 2006. No change. They're not pro-life, they're pro-re-election. The Sanctity of Life Act would return the issue back to the states where pro-life groups would have an opportunity to fight it. Now, I don't know if you're pro-life or not pro-life. The point that I'm making is that a politician can say one thing to his constituents to convince them that he stands a certain way. And I think Frank is basically a decent guy. He would prefer to get elected doing the right thing than having to do the wrong thing. Me, I'll do the right thing. I don't care if I get elected or not the second time. I'm going to do the right thing. I've got to stand before God one day and give an account of myself. When I swear an oath to the Constitution, I'll take it seriously. And I'll be a thorn in their side every minute I'm there. BoyceYourChoice.com. Check out my website. I am what I stand for. Any questions real quick? I think I'm basically out of time.
Yeah.